What if I told you that the most dangerous woman in professional wrestling today isn't the one holding the championship, but the one who just decided she wants it? Because something happened. Something that nobody saw coming. Something that sent shockwaves through the entire wrestling world and left fans absolutely speechless. Liv Morgan, fierce, unpredictable, electric Liv Morgan didn't just show up. She showed up with a message. A statement. A declaration of war. And the target? None other than the reigning, defending, dominant world heavyweight champion, Stephanie Vaquer. Welcome back to Wrestling Impact, the channel where we break down the biggest moments, the most jaw-dropping storylines, and the wrestling news that actually matters. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button right now because today's video? This is exactly why this channel exists. And if you've been riding with us, you already know when Liv Morgan makes a move, we cover it like no one else. So sit back, lock in, and let's talk about the ambush that changed everything. Let's set the scene. Because context matters. You can't truly understand the gravity of what Liv Morgan did without understanding exactly where we are in the story, and exactly who Stephanie Vaquer is. Stephanie Vaquer. Say that name slowly. Let it sit with you for a second. This is a woman who carved her legacy not in one promotion, not in one country, but across the entire globe. A wrestling prodigy who dominated the lucha libre scene, who made believers out of skeptics, who turned doubters into devoted fans with nothing but raw, undeniable talent. She is technically flawless. She is physically imposing. She is psychologically sharp. And right now, she is the world heavyweight champion, a title she did not stumble into, a title she did not luck her way into. She fought, she bled, she climbed, and she conquered. And for a while, everyone thought the championship picture was crystal clear. There were challengers lining up, yes there always are, but the consensus was that Stephanie Vaquer would move through them the way she moves through everything else. Methodically, brilliantly, dominantly. Nobody had Liv Morgan penciled in as the next major threat. Nobody, except Liv Morgan herself. Now here's where the story gets fascinating. Because Liv Morgan has always been someone who defied expectations. Her entire career has been a masterclass in proving people wrong. There was a time when critics said she was too flashy, too personality-driven, not serious enough to be a true championship-caliber competitor. And every single time someone said that, Liv did what Liv does. She smiled that dangerous smile, she laced up her boots a little tighter, and she went out there and made believers out of every single person in that building. But lately, there's been a shift in Liv Morgan. Something colder. Something more calculated. The smile is still there, don't get it twisted, but behind those eyes? There's something brewing. There's something that looks a lot less like a performer and a whole lot more like a predator. And predators don't announce themselves. They wait. They watch. They pick their moment. And then they strike. The ambush happened at one of the most unexpected moments during a post-match celebration. Stephanie Vaquer had just successfully defended her World Heavyweight Championship in a grueling, back-and-forth match that had the crowd on their feet from bell to bell. We're talking about a performance that reminded every single person watching why Stephanie Vaquer is the champion. She had survived a ferocious challenger, she had dug deep into that well of championship-level toughness, and she had emerged victorious. The confetti wasn't falling, but the energy was there. The champion stood in the center of that ring, title raised high, chest heaving, sweat catching the light, and the crowd was showing their appreciation. There were moments of pure connection between champion and audience. This was Stephanie Vaquer at her most human, her most vulnerable, just a fighter who had given everything and won. And that's when the lights changed. Not dimmed. Not flickered. Changed. The atmosphere shifted in a way that every wrestling fan in that building immediately recognized. Something was about to happen. You could feel it. The kind of electricity that doesn't come from pyrotechnics, the kind that comes from genuine, unscripted danger. And then Liv Morgan's music hit. Now, I want you to picture the reaction in that arena. Half confusion, half electric anticipation. Because Liv Morgan had no business being out there. She wasn't scheduled for this show in any capacity that involved Stephanie Vaquer. She had no announced grievance, no publicized beef, no segment, no promo, nothing. So when that music hit, the crowd didn't know whether to cheer or brace themselves. They just knew something real was happening. Stephanie Vaquer, for her part, didn't flinch. And that's what makes her so remarkable. A lesser champion might have looked to the entrance ramp with uncertainty, might have shown that flicker of vulnerability. Stephanie Vaquer did what champions do. She lowered her chin, she clutched that title a little tighter, and she stared right into whatever was coming. Liv Morgan didn't waste time with a long walk. She came out fast, purposeful. The kind of walk that tells you this isn't a television moment, this is a real decision. She slid under the bottom rope, she stood face to face with the champion, and for a few seconds, just a few, neither woman moved. The crowd was absolutely buzzing. You could hear individual fans screaming things, debating, reacting in real time. Some of them were chanting for Liv. Some of them were chanting for Stephanie. All of them were locked in. And then Liv Morgan grabbed a microphone. She didn't scream. She didn't grandstand. Liv Morgan looked directly at Stephanie Vaquer, and in a voice that was quieter than anyone expected, measured, deliberate, and absolutely bone-chilling, she said something along the lines of, "You didn't see me coming. And that's okay. Nobody ever does. But now that I'm standing right here, right in front of you, I need you to look at me. Really look at me. Because I'm not here to challenge you. I'm not here to ask for anything. I'm here to tell you the championship is coming with me. The only question left is how long you want to hold on to it before I take it." Dead silence in the building. You could have heard a pin drop on that canvas. And then Stephanie Vaquer smiled. Not a nervous smile. Not an amused smile. A champion smile, the kind that says she's heard big talk before, and she's handled every single person who came before with it. Vaquer stepped forward, got nose to nose with Liv Morgan, and spoke just loud enough for the cameras to catch it. The translation of her words was simple and devastating, "Then come and get it." Everything that happened next was chaos in the best possible way. Liv Morgan didn't throw a punch. She didn't initiate a brawl. Instead, she did something far more psychologically brilliant. She dropped the microphone, stepped back, pointed directly at the title belt, and smiled. That famous Liv Morgan smile. That smile that drives opponents absolutely crazy because you can never tell exactly what's behind it. She backed out of the ring the same way she came in, controlled, deliberate, on her own terms. And as she walked up the ramp, she never once turned her back to the champion. She held eye contact with Stephanie Vaquer the entire way. A show of respect? A show of awareness? A warning? Maybe all three. The crowd erupted. The announcers were falling over themselves trying to process what just happened live on the air. Social media, and I promise you this social media absolutely exploded the moment this segment ended. Clips were being shared everywhere. Reactions poured in from fans, from analysts, from people who hadn't watched wrestling in years but saw this clip and immediately had to know more. Because that's what great wrestling storytelling does, it transcends the core audience. It grabs people by the collar who weren't even looking. So let's break down what this actually means going forward. Because the ambush was the opening chapter, but the story? The story is just getting started. First, why Liv Morgan? Why now? Let's think about this strategically for a second. Stephanie Vaquer is at the peak of her championship run. She's been tested, she's been challenged, and she's come out on the other side every single time. The opponents who have come at her with brute force, with technical mastery, with veteran cunning, she's handled all of them. So what does it take to get inside the head of a champion who seems virtually unshakable? You send someone unpredictable. You send someone with nothing to lose and everything to gain. You send someone who doesn't follow the conventional playbook, who doesn't telegraph their strategy, who treats every moment like a calculated improvisation. You send Liv Morgan. And Liv Morgan didn't choose this moment by accident. She's been watching. She's been patient. She identified the exact moment when Stephanie Vaquer might be at her most emotionally exposed, right after a hard-fought defense, right at the peak of celebration, right when guards were lowest, and she made her move. That's not recklessness. That's chess. Now I've been talking to people in the wrestling community since this happened, and the reactions are genuinely divided in the most fascinating way. You've got one camp of fans who are fully bought in on Liv Morgan as a legitimate championship threat. These are the people who have been following her career arc, who have seen the evolution in her approach, who believe that this new edge she's carrying is exactly what was missing from her game at the highest level. They're excited. They're invested. They want to see Liv Morgan stand across the ring from Stephanie Vaquer with championship gold on the line. Then you've got another group, and look, I respect their position, who think this is a big swing that might not connect, who believe that Stephanie Vaquer is operating on a level that even a fired-up, laser-focused Liv Morgan might not be able to match. These fans point to the championship's technical supremacy, to Vaquer's ability to adjust mid-match, to her championship experience in high-pressure situations. And honestly, both camps make valid points. And that's exactly why this potential match is so compelling, because you can genuinely argue it both ways. There is no clear, obvious answer. There's no foregone conclusion. And in wrestling, that uncertainty, that genuine, spine-tingling uncertainty is worth its weight in gold. Here's what I keep coming back to, though. Liv Morgan made a choice. She didn't just respond to something that happened to her. She didn't get thrown into this picture by someone else's decisions. She walked out there unsolicited, unannounced, completely on her own initiative, and she chose Stephanie Vaquer. She chose the hardest challenge available. She chose the mountain instead of the easier path. And there is something deeply compelling about a competitor who looks at the most difficult obstacle in their way and says, "That one. I want that one." Because that's not the action of someone hoping to get lucky. That's not a desperation move. That's confidence. That's belief. The kind of belief that can carry a wrestler through the hardest moments in a championship match, those moments at the 15-minute mark when your body is screaming and your lungs are burning and the only thing between you and giving up is the depth of your conviction. Liv Morgan has that conviction. You saw it in her eyes during that face-off. You heard it in that quiet, controlled voice when she delivered her message. She believes she can beat Stephanie Vaquer. And the truly terrifying thing for the champion? Liv Morgan might be right. So here's where we stand. The challenge has been issued in the most dramatic, most cinematic, most wrestling-appropriate fashion imaginable. The champion has accepted, not officially, not contractually, not yet, but she accepted in the way that matters most in this business. She accepted with her eyes, with her chin, with that champion's smile that said, "You want this? Come on then." The match between Liv Morgan and Stephanie Vaquer for the World Heavyweight Championship, if and when it's officially confirmed, isn't just going to be a great match. It's going to be a story. A collision of styles, of personalities, of philosophies about what it means to compete at the highest level. It's going to have layers. It's going to have history. It's going to have the kind of emotional weight that makes a wrestling match feel like something much bigger than the sum of its parts. And that's what we're all here for, isn't it? That's why we watch. Not just for the moves. Not just for the athleticism, though that will absolutely be on display. We watch for moments that feel real. For stories that pull us in. For competitors who make us care about the outcome so deeply that we're holding our breath in the final moments, hearts pounding, barely able to watch and completely unable to look away. Liv Morgan and Stephanie Vaquer have already given us that feeling, and they haven't even had the match yet. Final beat, warm, genuine closing energy. That's the magic of professional wrestling at its absolute best. A look, a walk to the ring, a quiet microphone drop, and suddenly, an entire universe of possibility opens up in front of you. Liv Morgan chose her battlefield. She walked into the lion's den, looked the lion in the eye, and told her she was coming for everything she had. And Stephanie Vaquer, proud, unafraid, championship-worthy to her core, didn't blink. This story is just beginning. And we are going to be here for every single second of it. Here on Wrestling Impact, we cover every twist, every turn, every ambush, every showdown, every championship moment that matters. If this video got you fired up, and I know it did, drop a comment down below. Tell me, who do you think wins if this match happens? Is Liv Morgan walking out as the new World Heavyweight Champion? Or does Stephanie Vaquer prove why nobody has been able to take that title from her? I genuinely want to know what you think, so get loud in those comments. If you're not subscribed yet, what are you even doing? Hit that subscribe button right now. Turn on your notifications so you never miss a single video, because trust me, with a story this good developing in real time, you cannot afford to fall behind. We are Wrestling Impact. This is the story. And it's only getting better from here.